lovelies. It's the team over at Wedding Planning Resources, and welcome to another episode of Wedding Wednesday Q&A, where we answer your wedding questions. Today's question is from Melissa, and she asks, what are some cheap and easy DIY wedding centerpiece ideas? Thank you for this question, Melissa. We'd love to help you out. We're rounding up our favorite, easy, and affordable DIY wedding centerpiece ideas for you. These are ideas that are quick and manageable to pull off. Of course, you might want to try to get products from the dollar store, maybe even some mason jars. But with these ideas we're sharing, you can elevate the look of cheap DIY wedding centerpieces. It still requires DIY effort and planning, but it will surely not take too much of your time. This episode is not just about ideas, but we're also sharing pro tips on how to execute them and hacks to make your life much easier. First up on the list are candles, because really, when are candles never elegant? They are the easiest, super affordable centerpiece idea, probably the most romantic, inexpensive centerpiece idea. Pro tip number 1, choose votives. It might be tempting to use floating candles and then put them in vases filled with water, but as pretty as it looks, it will take a lot of time to fill up those vases and clean them up after. Votive candles are the best candles to use. All you need to do is place them randomly, somewhat creatively on the table, light them up, and voila! The centerpiece is ready to go. Pro tip number 2. You can add some height by mixing in different votive heights. For example, mix 2 to 3 inch votives in with 5 to 6 inch votives to create that height and movement, so it won't just be lined up flat. Prep time? Little to none. Only place them on the tables and then light them up 20 to 30 minutes before the reception doors open. Just enough time for the candle to be really lit up. Second on the list is greenery. This is one of the easiest wedding decorations for the tables. We made a greenery centerpiece DIY guide that we linked below that details how to design and execute this centerpiece. Pro tip number 2. If you consider using silk fake greenery, ensure to find something that has some coating or is in a mint color. Using something that looks less plastic and not shiny will help minimize that fake look. Pro tip number 3. Instead of silk or real greeneries, you can also use dried or preserved ones. When purchasing your dried greeneries, ensure to read through storing and care instructions so you can keep preserving them. Especially if you're getting married in the winter, dried flowers will literally wilt and melt when there is moisture. Ensure you check temperature and packaging to keep them looking good. Prep time. Per 8-seater rectangular table, if you're laying down 2 bunches of greenery, it will take about 15 to 30 minutes. As you design more tables, you get faster. The key is to pre-bundle and pre-cut the stems per table, meaning you'll have a bag of them per table, before heading to the reception so you can easily and quickly place them on the table. Remember to cut the excess stems at the bottom and only keep the stems with leaves on them and cut all the stems. Third on our list is cherry blossoms. Cherry blossom silk stems are the best examples of stems that you can easily use. Of course, there will be some assembly needed to put this together, but it's certainly easy and fast. Pro tip number 1, use a tall vase and if possible, a colored one. If you can't find a colored one, you can purchase clear ones and spray paint them. Covering the stems of your silk cherry blossoms will hide the fact that it is a fake silk and will also provide the illusion that the centerpiece is bigger and taller. Also, choosing a vase that's not too wide will help make the blooms look bigger. Pro tip number 2, don't forget to bend the stems outward so that they won't be standing up straight. Create movement and mimic what a real cherry blossom tree looks like. And prep time. Spraying the vase will be about 24 to 48 hours, including the drying time. It will be about 10 to 20 minutes for about 3 to 5 stems of cherry blossoms to be set up per round table. Fourth on the list are hydrangeas. Hydrangeas are super fluffy and can cover many areas that are always great for a centerpiece. You can consider real ones or silk fake ones. You can check out JR Roses for wholesale hydrangeas and other flowers. Pro tip number 1. Instead of making one large arrangement, why not consider individual vases or a grouping of them and place only one stem of hydrangea in each? Cutting the individual hydrangea stems in different lengths and heights will create a nice movement and organic look to your centerpiece. Pro tip number 2. Similar to the cherry blossom idea, using a colored or spray painted vase will help to cover or hide that they are silk fake stems. Choosing a vase that's not too wide will help make the blossoms appear bigger. And also remove the green plastic-looking leaves, as they are usually the telltale sign that a flower is fake. Prep time per round table. If you choose a 6-inch cylinder and 4 stems of fresh hydrangeas, including cutting, filling the vase with water and wiping them clean, it will take about 20 to 30 minutes per table. Especially if you've not done this before. Practice is key. Practice before the wedding. And last on the list are potted plants and herbs. Super straightforward and easy. Purchase bulk from your local garden center or floral shop, and they will already be in trays. So it will be easy for you to transport them. Definitely a rustic DIY wedding centerpiece favorite. Pro tip. Beware of the soil getting scattered on the table. There is a tendency for the soil for real potted plants, and we have to avoid this. Not only is it unsightly, but it can also get unsanitary. What you can do is purchase coasters. So even if some soil will fall off the pot, it will be on the coaster and not on the table. Herb tip. Be conscious of the herb scents. Don't use the ones that have heavy scent. It can get overpowering, and you want to keep the scents to a minimum so your guests can still enjoy their meal without getting distracted by that smell. Prep time. Very little time. Place the coaster first and then place the potted plant or herb on top. You might need some time to clean up after yourself. Check around to ensure there's no soil spillage anywhere. And before we go, we wanted to share another thing that's worth considering, which is dried flowers. Pampas grass is probably one of the quickest and easiest centerpieces to work with. Pro tip number 1. Pampas grass is usually shipped in a bundle, and it comes very tightly wrapped in plastic. To fluff it, use a hairdryer on low heat to soften it, and it makes it easier for you to fluff it, and the fluffier, the better. Pro tip number 2. When working with DIY dried flower arrangements, and you'd like them to look more spread out, opt for a vase with a wider opening. This way the stems will be spread out more, covering more area and giving the illusion that it's bigger. Insert them into the vase sideways around the rim first and build from there. Pro tip number 3. If you're working with a rectangular table, try using vases with multiple heights. Cut the pampas grass or your choice of any dried flower variety accordingly to create a high-low effect, adding movement to your table. Always check your height combination first before cutting by volume. And pro tip number 4. If you're using a mix or looking to design your own bundle for your easy DIY cheap wedding centerpiece, you can pre-design and pre-make the bundles and tie them together using a chenille stem or pipe cleaner. This will make it easier to set it up on the day of your wedding. Prep time. Initial prep time to fluff the stems will be about 5 to 10 minutes per stem. But on the day of the wedding, it can be super quick. You take these babies out of the box and put them in the vase, and voila, you're all set. There you are, lovelies, our favorite cheap DIY wedding centerpieces. We've linked your free wedding planning kit in the description, so don't forget to download it before you go. And as always, we're here to inspire you to celebrate life and love. Until next time, lovelies, bye!